again.
Hello?
Hello, Pedro. Oh my god.
We're late because Fado couldn't get on the couch. Stop hitting me. No. Fado.
No. He's gone.
Oh my god. Fado, we worked so hard to get you up
I
here.
know. It was a struggle.
Come on.
Oh, crap.
Oh no.
Oh, is the stream okay? Yeah, we're good.
We're good. Okay, be careful.
I cannot move my computer. Okay.
Yeah. Maybe
Otherwise, everything will disconnect.
everything. Hello and welcome to the critique stream.
Hello.
If you've never been to one of these before, it's where we critique our patrons
Yes.
as people. No, we critique art that patrons send in. If you want to be part of it, you have to be a patron next month. You can't just pop in. You can't just pop off and be like, hey, I got something to critique. No, we're only critiquing what you guys have sent us already. Hell yeah. You guys excited? I'm sure excited. I can't see the stream. Okay, now I can see what you guys are saying. Critique me personally, please. Ace of Hand, you're the cutest. Only critique, don't see you enough in Patreon chat anymore. Miss you. 0 out of 10 on that front. But you know what? You do you. I understand. Sometimes we all can't be in Patreon chat because otherwise it would also be overwhelming, and then I'd leave that one too.
Oh my god.
We'll work on that. It's okay. You don't have to go if you don't want to.
Yeah.
I understand. How they critique our art? If patrons get critique.
Yes. So if you would like your art critiqued next month, you can go join our Patreon.
Hell yeah.
A stinky June. Give June a timeout.
Happy birthday to Mark.
Oh yeah. Happy
Tomorrow's
birthday.
Fado's birthday, more importantly.
Exactly.
You can't give Mark a timeout. Wait, June a timeout. Ace is stinky. Hello, Caro.
Hello.
All right, let's get critiquing.
Okay.
There's a lot to do. I want to go away eventually. Your voice will die if we keep at this.
Okay.
Let's go.
Who would like to go first? We have
Me.
Crow, Ace, Foxwell is here.
Did you guys hear Fado attacking the Grinch?
I don't know if Hex is here yet, or Clearjoy, or Battery.
Me? Ace is going first.
You're going first, Ace? Okay, let me find your art here.
All right, you can control it from there.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't do my fancy Photoshop document.
Because it makes her cry.
Stressful.
What's up? Not much.
Okay. So, Ace's comments. I missed last month, so I hope it's okay for feedback on a bit more than usual. Yep, that's totally cool. I was wondering if you could give me some feedback on my commission sheet, like layout, the art, pricing, if it stands out as super off, etc. I have rules and process info on other slides, but I don't think that's really necessary to put here. Okay. Okay, and then also critiquing some of the pieces on here. Okay.
So it's like overall composition for the layout of it first?
Yes.
Okay. Ursula's an expert on this.
I sure am.
What do you mean? Isn't it your day job to make like pages?
Yeah.
Web pages and UI and UX?
Yeah.
There you go. Always underselling herself over here. I'm not an expert. I just make all my money doing this.
Okay.
Listen.
Okay. So I think that I like how simple everything is. It's very easy to read. It's legible. I'm not overwhelmed by like a million examples and prices, because I know when I'm looking at commission sheets, I find it very confusing when artists have like a million different choices and I have to go through and figure out what they named this particular choice of style and versus like half body and bust and full body, and it's just hard to, I guess, like get your checkout cart full when it's really confusing. So I like how simplified it is. I find
Wait, why is that one 20 and that one's 30?
that's a good question.
What's the $25 one?
That's a good point. Ace, I'm confused.
It might be in like the information, but
True.
yeah, usually the slides you want to be very clear.
Because if it was just this, like full body and bust in very similar styles, I'd be like, cool. I know what to pay for and what I'm gonna get. But when you start putting in tons of different examples of different kind of like stylization, I guess, with different prices, it gets really confusing because, you know, why is this one $20 when previously like a bust was $20 when this is a full body? Why does this one cost less than a full body, etc.? So I would definitely recommend kind of condensing things a little bit. You don't have to go this way, but this is the way I tend to go, is I'll have one example of what you'll get. So it's like, I do this at like conventions and stuff, which is usually where I sell commissions, is I'll have one example and it's like an ink drawing, and per character it's like X amount of money. And that's what you get. And you can ask for more characters and I might add some more money on, but you look at one image and you'll have an idea of what you're going to get when you commission me. Just to keep it really simple.
Our toilet paper is on. Confirmed.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Side note, order status on toilet paper confirmed.
But yeah, so I would condense this down or make it possibly like, if you're going to have more distinct styles, I can see more of a distinction between this more like shaded kind of portrait image more than say like the character images. Like I can see more of a clear difference on what you're going to get. So maybe putting this on another sheet with a clear kind of title of what it is would help. I guess I should add those examples without a price. Yep, you could also do that. So then they know anything that's full body is 30, anything that is a bust is 20, and then you can negotiate prices once they start talking to you.
It's also nice to just go simplified because you don't want to overwhelm people.
Totally.
But I come from like a different commission background. Like most of my friends who do commissions just have one thing they offer.
Yeah.
Like a flat rate. They usually just do character things. So I don't really know. I don't really understand commission pages. Just gonna be real with you. The only time I ever really buy commissions is like people are like, one-time sale, I'll draw you as a Pokemon gym leader with X amount of Pokemon. I'm like, hell yeah.
Totally.
They're like, I'll draw your pet on a Pokemon card. I'm like, hell
oh my
yeah.
god, listen. That's all I want.
Listen, I am just like, really. I do promos more.
So that is a good sales tactic, is to put on like a fun spin on things.
Yeah, but that might be supplementary to what you usually do. Because it's fine to have a commission page.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I also tend to negotiate prices because I don't just do personal commissions.
Oh right, because you'll commission for...
I don't do commission. I hire freelance.
Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Very true.
With contracts and BS.
But yeah, overall, I think your layout is good. I think you just need to simplify some of this example and pricing stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. And sometimes simplified styles can be harder because then you have to put in work to like simplify someone's art.
Totally. If they give you a complicated character and you've got to like simplify it super hard.
Mm-hmm.
Totally.
People are stupid and aren't going to read it anyways.
That too. People don't read.
My boss always said, people are stupid, put all the words on. I'm like, no. The
No.
more words, the less they read.
Totally. As soon as something is longer than like 2 lines, people are going to zone out and leave.
I'm literally that
Unfortunately.
person, though,
Yeah.
with the print shop. Just a bad client all around. I'm sorry, guys.
Simple is better.
Important update from our tax people. One sec. I'm going to read this while you do critiques.
Okay. Okay, so moving on. Let me know if you have any questions, Ace. Oh wait, did you want any advice on the pricing and stuff? So the art on there took me anywhere from an hour to 5 hours, depending on the piece. My general rule for pricing. My general rule for pricing is like I do it on like an hourly basis, so I know how much I can get done in an hour. So I could do a bust like this or something in like half an hour to an hour. So I usually would charge like, and I charge like $30 an hour typically for commissions. So I would honestly make your bust 30 and a full body like, I don't know, 50 or 60 depending on how long it takes. And admittedly, sometimes you'll have a commission that takes longer than others. And if you've agreed on a flat price, then you should probably go with your price, or negotiate with your customer. But yeah, honestly, I say you could bump these up a little bit. And the more of them you'll do, the faster you get. Anyways, that's my 2 cents on pricing. I always say bump it up more.
Yeah, you'd rather have fewer commissions for more money than more
Totally.
commissions for fewer money.
Because if you have really cheap commissions and you're getting like tons of them, you're just going to tucker yourself out and burn out really fast.
Yeah. When you have very few commissions, you get really sad because you don't have tons, but it's worth it more.
$10 an hour? You are a skilled worker. You deserve way more than that.
Who's saying $10 an hour?
That's not even minimum wage, like where we live.
No, it is.
Is it?
Yeah.
Oh. American?
Yeah, if it's USD, like $10 an hour, yeah.
Still, you're a skilled worker. Charge more.
Yeah. Gosh.
Ooh, whoa. Oh, no. Ah,
You're the one who said don't move it.
I'm sorry.
Anyways, yeah.
Anyways, moving on.
Because, yeah, don't underprice yourself. $15 the minimum wage I can always give myself. Yeah. Nah, you're a skilled worker. And anytime you're not working on that, you can be working on something that has, like, resale value.
Totally.
Because you can work on pins and prints and comics and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
You can make money off of that. It's more worth it. 'Cause commissions are, like, one-time things you make.
Totally. Unless you put in a clause that you can turn it into prints and stuff, but
Sometimes it's like, what's the point, right?
yeah, totally.
Yeah. But we're not big commission people. So.
True. Okay. Like some critique on the drawings in there in particular. This one is an old character of mine. His name is Festival, and he's a doctor, in quotes, more of a mad scientist. Thoughts on the shading, anatomy, design, and anything else that stands out. So Bones and I were looking at this earlier, and he mentioned that your contrast has really improved here.
Just on the face.
Yeah, where I like how you've done these like darker shadows on the face, instead of like shying away from high contrast, which is really nice.
Them modeled forms.
Yes, that too, where you've done a really good job defining like the hollows around the eyes and like the shape of the face, and the bridge of the nose, etc. So very good work there.
Our tax appointment might be on Skype.
Okay. Thank God I don't have to drive to Toronto.
Right.
Okay. I think you could up the contrast on the pants. um, where it looks like you're using the same color on maybe like a multiply or an opacity or something, as the face and the pants. But with the pants being like a little bit of a darker value, the shadow doesn't have as much contrast as say like the skin, which is paler, and the shadows on the skin. So I would recommend darkening the shadows here, just making sure that like the values of the shadow match everywhere else on the design. I think you've got some pretty good contrast, say on like the shirt and the shoes, though I would honestly bring in more highlight.
Those are some long legs.
Yes, they are very long.
The knees a bit far down. Sorry, that's the only thing I'm good at.
That's all you're good for. It's a darker version of the same color. I just lowered the opacity more for some reason. That's fair. It helps when you're trying to see like the value of everything. It helps to squint your eyes at the picture because it gets rid of the details and you just focus on like the value. So I'd recommend that when you're...
I think the squinty eye trick doesn't work with me because I have astigmatism.
Oh, yeah.
Like everything just stars. All I just see is stars.
Oh, okay, yeah, that wouldn't.
Because every time like the art teacher told me to do that, I'd be like, this is useless.
Okay, if you're seeing stars, then I'd also recommend just turning your canvas to black and white to see how the values stand out with each other.
Is anyone hearing echoiness? Y'all are kind of quiet. We're always quiet.
We're quiet, sorry. Ooh. Yeah. So I think you could add some more highlights into the black clothing he's wearing.
I can only hear in ear. One ear.
Oh no.
That's odd. Hello?
Hello?
That's weird. Is anyone else having audio issues like that? No? Okay.
No.
I'm not having trouble? Not you guys? Oh, okay.
Oh,
It's
okay.
just
I was like, oh no.
Oh, okay. You used to make... Okay, sorry. Back to your thing, Ursula. Sorry.
Okay. Yeah, so I think it's hard when you're like coloring black clothing or dark colored clothing because you don't want to make it look...
You're never useful, June.
You don't want to make it look too light. So I'd recommend like looking at say like black fabric or dark fabric and just seeing how seeing where the highlights stand and kind of what color they are versus say like the shadows and then maybe the more neutral areas, just to see kind of like how you can add highlights to dark clothing without losing it looking dark. Just because I think some of the detail can get lost in here around the chest and arm area. So just adding in some highlights can probably help make that stand out if you have someone who wears a lot of dark clothing so that when their arm overlaps their torso, it doesn't disappear.
Are you good?
Yeah.
Probably good on that one.
Okay.
Move along. They have questions. If she has questions, she'll ask.
True. The next couple are digital paintings. I did my first attempt at digital painting, critique on the shading, colors, and expressions. So I can see that you're doing more blending than you typically do, because I know for the most part you do kind of like cell shading type stuff.
Still very line heavy.
Yes. And I think I appreciate that you've gone with some darker values, because I know a lot of your stuff is very like pastel. Where here you've brought in some dark stuff. Overall, the painting is very has lots of dark colors in it. I think, however, you need to bring back some of those highlights. I think you've gone you've gone very dark, but you haven't kind of used like the entire value spectrum, if that makes sense. Whereas like if there's this bright light hitting him, there's going to be spaces where it gets really light, and there's going to be obvious highlights because this is a very strong light that's shining on him. Oh my goodness. I keep touching the cord that's attached to our display.
Ursula's like, I'm gonna just unplug the HDMI cable right now.
Listen.
We can't. The volume's too low.
So I would definitely bring in more highlights. Because even his, like, I think the brightest part of this, or I guess the lightest would be like his shoulder here down in the corner. And maybe his eyes, though they're they're still pretty dark and kind of shadowed. And I also notice that a lot of the shading and shadows on here, they seem a little bit muddied. I like how you've got a lot of different hues and colors kind of going into the skin. I think it all got kind of pushed towards very like gray. It got pushed very gray, and a lot of it feels very cool, I think, because of the gray that's been added. It looks like there's like some green or some blue mixed in there. And if it's green and it's up against all this pink, that's definitely going to turn it very gray. So I would look into...
Bye, June. Take care of your head.
Yes.
And your toe.
Mm-hmm. Wait, June is Charlie? Yes.
You didn't know that? Yeah. Yeah, June and Charlie are the same person.
Yeah, but anyways, so I think the skin tone has been grayed out and turned very ashy. And I think...
Everyone's shocked right now.
Oh my god.
Yep, they're the same person.
Am I that famous? Yeah, so I think if you worked on, like, I want to say color theory. I feel like you've got a pretty good handle on color theory, but just like looking at, I don't know what you'd look at, like looking at actual skin tones and seeing how they react to, like, say, like bright pink lighting would
It might
really
be
help.
time for, like, I don't know, trying to do like an actual, just not photorealistic, but like that kind of study if you don't already.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to just see that,
Mm-hmm.
how you do, because it will translate back into digital painting that's more stylized like that.
Totally. Mm-hmm.
It's like Ursula, who had to draw real cats before she could do painterly 9-point
Totally.
painting raccoons.
Mm-hmm.
Really helps you understand how the coloring and lighting works.
For sure. And then you can apply it onto your stylized stuff.
Yeah, pull back.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I'd also really play around with how colors react to each other. Kind of looking at like color relativity and trying out different things, like going really extreme with colors and seeing how they interact together. And again, pushing that contrast where you're making sure you've got a good level of highlights and midtones and dark shadows. Because I think you've gone darker in here, but it still feels very all around the same value area. And I think Yeah, and I think you need to push. I think it's a contrast issue, but I think you need to push sculpting the form a little bit more. I think you've done really well. Like, I like a lot of the shape going on in the face. Like, especially around the nose and eye area. There's some nice, like, shadows, and you can see, like, the different planes of the face. But I definitely recommend going and doing some studies and really pushing your contrast, because you'll get some very good results. Yeah, I think the blue undertone I used for the skin was a bit too teal. Yeah, I can see that, because it turns very gray when it's surrounded by all the pink.
Me.
So moving along. So this one looks a little more stylized than the last one.
Mm-hmm.
So again, it's even more line heavy, I find.
Which isn't, like, bad inherently.
No. Say happy birthday to Mark. Happy birthday, Mark.
I already did say happy birthday to Mark.
He wasn't here.
Yeah, well, maybe he should be here on time. Who cares your birthday? It's Fado's birthday tomorrow. He's more important to me. He is! I live with him.
Happy Mark.
I mean, yeah. It's okay if other people in your life are more important to you, Mark. It's fine.
Okay, so I think you've got some better contrast going on in this one. There's more variety in, like, highlights and shadows. I find you've got a lot of colors popping up in this one. Like, there's this really bright blue coming out from underneath his shirt, and lots of rosiness on the cheeks and face area. And I'm not exactly sure where these lights are coming from. As well as...
I don't need Mark's approval to be happy. I have another Mark in my life.
Yeah, and I think some places the light isn't quite hitting the model the way it should be. Like, for example, the way the neck has been shaded, it looks like very sunken back from the neck.
Or still be really mad if I left to my room, so please, for her sake, don't send me to my room.
But it feels very, like, sunken in, just because the shadow is so dark and so cool compared to the shading on the face.
I know you're referring to, like, color coolness and warmness, but I'm always just like, your art is so cool.
I mean, it is cool.
Yeah, sorry. I'm just trying to keep entertained.
Whereas, like, I think if the light, it looks like it's shining in kind of, like, directly on his head here, and that you can see some of it on his shoulder here, but it would definitely still be on his neck. There'd be, like, kind of a harder shadow underneath the jaw, but you'd still have, like, light coming in around this area and touching it. Same with his collarbones. They look very sunken just because it's so dark in there. Whereas, like, they're even, like, a really defined collarbone, it wouldn't go quite that deep. And the area around his nose is also looking, like, very sunken in comparison to the rest of his face. Whereas, like, there's more of, like, a sharper cutoff between the nose and the cheek. I guess it depends on the face, obviously. Like, there's different face shapes and stuff. But if he has kind of, like, a longer nose, yeah, you see a bit more light of the cheek plane here, and it would cut off a lot more suddenly. You've got this really, like, subtle gradient happening here, where it just looks like his face kind of has, like, an inner dip into it, like a dent or something, where it would probably cut off a lot sooner, and you'd see more of this like rosy cheek over here. If that makes sense.
Yeah, just studies.
Totally. Just do more studies.
It's a good start.
Totally. Like, I like how you're experimenting and trying to do like undertones and stuff. I think, yeah, you just need to keep at it. This is a very good start. I went too far in both directions. Yeah, that's gonna happen. Like, when you start trying out a new thing, I think it's a good idea to go like way too hard with it, and then like slowly pull back till you get something you like.
Mm-hmm.
So moving along. Lastly, and you don't have to do this one if it's too much. Oh no, don't worry. Are some shading experiments I did for a more simplified style, though on the design and line art. Oh, thoughts on the design and line art would also be appreciated, as well as shading. Which coloring style looks best to you?
It's a very subtle difference.
Yes, that is what I was thinking.
I think the first two I like better than the last one, though.
Yeah, I like the starker contrast in these. Honestly, I like the first one the best. I think it's got the most contrast going on in it.
Yeah, it really complements kind of like the simplistic style. Adds more, like it makes the shading geometric, just like the design.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, adds geometry, and we all like geometry, shapes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Triangles, circles.
Okay.
I'm vamping. Get your protractors out, kids.
Yeah, I like the simple shapes and the line art. I also like the little bits of like colored line art here, like in the folds on the shirt and stuff. That's a really nice touch. Whereas it gets thicker where there's more shadow. I think that is very nice. I think it might get a little bit muddled in the hair here, where I guess I'm a little confused as to where like these pigtails or maybe ears. I'm not sure how they attach to the head. Because if they're blended in with the bang parts or the top bit, then I think this colored line is okay. But if they're more behind everything, I'd use maybe a darker, more defined line. Yeah, but overall, very good balance of like using different line weights, coloring the lines to show different depths and stuff. I like the color choices a lot. I like the pink and the blue and the green kind of balancing with each other. I think that's you've done a good job with balancing the different colors. Like the pink seems to be like the primary, and then it's got a nice complement with the green and the blue. I can see that. I should think more about where I color the line art. It's it's hard because sometimes you're like, you gotta mess around with things before you define the design, you know? Gotta iterate. Woo. Yeah, but I like the use of the rectangles throughout, like with the legs and the socks and the band on the shirt, even the neckline, and the little squares within the hair. I think you could bring it in more with the shoes. The shoes feel like the only thing that doesn't feel quite as cohesive with the rest of the design. Like, I guess the tongues of the shoe are square, but they're not as like sharp as everything else. So that might be something to keep in mind. I think you can keep some of the roundness because you also have like roundness in the face to kind of balance it out. But yeah, I think you could bring in that square motif in a little bit stronger with the shoes. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions.
Moving on.
So who would like to go next?
Me.
Bones McKay.
I got dress on yours quick. this guy can't. I forgot I don't have any drawing programs because my totally legal Photoshop isn't working since the latest update.
Kuro, you want to go? Okay.
Oh, here, I have something to say.
Stop.
It's just some art. I'm going to put it in the critique stream.
Okay.
Okay, can you check out my art? It's in the critique stream now. Wait, yes.
It's not.
It is.
It's false.
It's processing.
Fine.
I'll tell you when it's done. Then
Okay.
you can quickly go aside.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, Kuro. So I figured I'd start sending these guys in for critique. I know the anatomy is off, but there are basic design ideas. I'm not sure what hair colors to go with for Gibbs and Rizzo. I want them to be contrasting, and Gibbs blue and Rizzo pink or purple. Also, okay. Cool. So just general design stuff, as well as
Sorry.
some color stuff. Okay.
My art won't upload.
Your heart. Okay. So we'll start with the color part.
YouTube can't handle your art.
Personally, I like the... Oh my god.
What the hell was that?
That was so loud. Someone texted me.
Oh, it's my mom. You might want to...
Mute. Good lord, scaring me.
It's hurt my ears.
Scary mom.
Oh, it's uploaded to general in RP party.
Oh. Is this one?
Yeah, that's it.
Oh
You
no.
can probably open it. Thank you. Here's my art. It's mixed media.
Should lean in real close to read it.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for taking my art seriously.
You're welcome.
I really appreciate that.
Listen, typography is a very important skill.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
All right, you can go back to your actual work.
Thanks for vibing with me, Bones. Okay.
Oh.
So, looking at the colors, Crow, I think I like the balance of Rizzo having the like darker purple hair. I think part of it is like he's got these like bright pink eyes, and his the rest of his design is very bright.
Oh, my mom was sharing her art with us.
Aw, she wants a critique. Whereas I find the pink hair on top of it feels like too much. Like it doesn't feel quite as balanced. Whereas I find this like more desaturated, darker purple kind of balances it out. I think it works really well with like the dark shirt, for example. And it matches with like his skin tone and stuff. It's like vibing a little bit better than the pink. I think if you changed up maybe some of the colors within his design, you could make the pink really work. But I find it's just a little too much, whereas I find the purple kind of blends in a bit better. As for Gibbs, I do like the contrast with having Gibbs have like light hair versus like Rizzo having dark hair. And I think you said you wanted them to contrast. yeah, you want them to be contrasting. So I do like the light blue going alongside the purple. And I think it makes for a more striking design than just using the black. The black is a bit more like subtle, I guess. But I like the blue and the purple. I think they work better for me. Okay, I'm looking at their designs.
I like the anime intern, the anime hair.
Yes, very good. I like these designs a lot. They're very varied. Varied?
Very.
They're very different from each other. And they all give like a good vibe of their personality, I think. Like yeah, it shows a good snapshot of who they are, and I think a big part of that is like the posing and the expressions, as well as like their clothing choices, and I think you've done a really good job there. She's moody and he's bubbly. Okay. Yeah, and I get that sense from like the way they express and like the way they're posed, where she definitely looks like more cool and collected, and he's a lot more like open and smiley and friendly looking. It's a very good job there. I guess I could give you just general impressions I get for them, and you can see if it's like correct. So Sullivan looks very green. I mean, obviously he's an intern, but he looks like he is in high school or college or something, and looks very fun-loving and adventurous and sweet. Maddox looks a little more cool and fashionable, and I think she acts all cool and like dramatic, but is like a total sweetie. Woo. And Chief looks very tough and intimidating, and like he's gonna have a talk with Rizzo for going off the rails and not following orders. He's like, "You get back in line, agent." I hope these are correct. But yeah, good job. I like the variance in the different body types. It's great to see like even with two kind of like bubbly looking guys, they're still very different. Including
At least I like the placing of the feet.
Yes, that too.
Because you get a little wonky in some of your proportions and stuff, but the stances are pretty solid.
Yeah.
Gonna give you kudos. I think you might need to work on arms and hands, but don't we all?
Yeah, I mean, that's the artist's life.
And Chief's hips are a little high up.
Yeah, I think his pelvis needs to be moved down to like here, and his arms will be lengthened by doing that as well. Maddox is pretty good proportioning. Especially like her legs. I think the neck is a little bit long, and I think on a lot of them their necks are a little bit too long. They could be like brought down about half. But yeah, and Rizzo has very long arms here. Whereas like his body's got good proportion, like between the torso
His
and
torso's
the legs.
a little long. Yeah. Something's long in there.
Yeah.
Gibbs is really well done. Her neck's a bit stretched, but otherwise...
Yeah, she's got good proportions. Yeah, Maddox and Gibbs are doing a good job. I find Sullivan's legs are a little bit long. Keith is like 6'6", no soft side. Very good.
Keep at it.
Yeah, keep at it. I like seeing this lineup of characters. I think you've done a really good job differentiating body types and showing off their personalities.
Mm-hmm.
Hell yeah.
Any questions?
Yeah. Any questions?
In the meantime, we'll jump over to something else.
Okay.
Gotta keep the workflow going.
Yes.
Should close the ones that are like definitely done.
Oh yeah, I should.
So that we have a sense of what's left.
True.
Still got that one.
Okay.
Yeah. Who is next?
Who is next?
Who do we chop?
Chop chopping?
Clear Hughes is here.
Clear Hughes?
Yeah.
You want to go next?
Yeah. My anatomy is still funny. Yeah. Well, anatomy's hard.
It is.
You gotta work on it.
Mm-hmm. Clear Hughes? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's clear these heckin' hues.
Okay. So let's find these little comments. Doop, doop, doop. Okay. I have two pieces to be critiqued, both character designs. The first is my D&D character, Ezrinvin. He's a celestial tiefling wizard. Amazing.
Same.
I'd like some feedback on the design, how to make it more personal to him instead of having a generic design. He's extremely flirty and promiscuous, mysterious, and cocky. I've recently redesigned him. I'll attach the farmer design. I was also wondering if there's a way to better include his belongings. He just has a satchel right now, but he also carries a crossbow, a dagger, a whip, and an arcane focus orb. I'm also a bit worried about the lack of contrast. Okay. First, I really love this design. It's very eye-catching. I love the cloak. 10 out of 10. Very celestial. I also really like the palette. It feels very like Space Wizard, which is amazing. Yeah, it's very luminous.
Space Wizard is when I reorganize my house and I just somehow magically create more space. Make it more spacious.
Hell yeah.
Just put away the Christmas decorations.
Listen.
Okay, back to your critique.
Busy. Okay, yeah, so looking
See ya,
at...
Ace.
Bye, Ace. So yeah, looking at the previous design. Yeah, it feels like there's some more personality kind of brought in through the new design. Though I do like the stance of the old one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's really nice. Shows a lot of character.
Well, I was saying that it probably needs more contrast in the face, and I think one way to bring that out would be to find a more contrasty eye color to bring attention to that.
Definitely.
You also might want to change up the gradient of the hair so that it doesn't get lost in the cloak as much, if that's important to you. If you're bothered by the lack of contrast, you could probably bring the pink in near the ends.
Yeah. So
Would be a
gradients
way.
like pink at the bottom and more blue at the top.
Mm-hmm. Especially if it's always going to hang on the cloak.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a nice gradient with the cloak, because you could kind of reverse it. Because, yeah, it does get lost in it, but it depends on what you want to do with that.
Totally.
Yeah. And they wanted to figure out how to put belongings on them.
Right. She's got a satchel, a crossbow, a dagger, a whip, and an orb. See, like, for things like weapons, like a dagger, you could easily give him, like a sheath on his belt, or on his leg, or in his boot, for example.
Boot sheath.
You could also have like a little forearm sheath.
Mm-hmm.
It's like put into a gauntlet or just like a armband or something like that. Just
Get
anywhere.
you a bag of holding and shove everything in it.
Hell yeah. But yeah, just think about if you
Pink
really
at the bottom, epic. Yes.
Yeah, just like if you really want it to be like really character driven, how like he carries his stuff, it's like just think about kind of like how they would fight or when they would use a dagger or a crossbow, and like how easily do they need to get to this thing? Is it more like to look threatening, or is it more they're actually going to use this thing to cut you up or whatever?
Yeah.
For the crossbow, listen, I love a good crossbow slung across the back. 10 out of 10.
I'm sorry. Yeah, because I guess the back design does get it's a little more boring.
Yeah, there's less detail going on because it's mostly like the cloak.
Yeah.
But having like a little crossbow slung across here,
Sexy.
Or you could have a little arm crossbow shooty guy, like pew pew.
I always think of the dog launcher with that, like every time. Just Renoa's dog launcher.
But yeah, it depends on how big the crossbow is, where you can put it. If it's like something smaller, they can strap it to like a limb, but if it's bigger, then probably across the back would be like the best way to carry it. As for the satchel, listen, can he have a little
I'm scared.
fanny pack?
No. Awful.
Listen.
Oh my god, don't listen to her.
But that is one way you can mix up a satchel instead of just having it like crossbody bag type thing. You could have a little fanny pack just on the waist or across the chest.
Did you know that condom supplies are gonna run out? Because production is halted.
Oh dear.
There's gonna be a baby boom, guys. Oh. The new generations of boomers.
Everyone keep your hands to yourselves. As for the orb.
The orb just makes me think of the Goblin King.
Yes.
Just waggling his balls in your face. Oh my god. What? Did he not?
He did.
Was that not the plot of Labyrinth? As David Bowie waves his balls in your face?
Oh my god. There's some interesting ways you could carry around the orb. My initial thought was like you could carry like a little mesh bag or something. So like you could see the orb. And it could be like a little drawstring mesh bag or something. Because it would kind of go with like, he's got some like little string designs throughout, like the lacing on his pants and stuff. So maybe bringing in that kind of stringy.
Oh my god, it is.
Knit look might help.
This is my Twitter experience.
Stop! Oh my
As
god,
I'm like,
Bones.
oh, cute art, and then there's always a wiener. Like, everyone is so thirsty right now on my Twitter timeline.
Oh my god.
Like, it wasn't like this before the quarantine, but ever since quarantine, everyone's gotten super randy. Like, I'll be like, oh, cute art, and then freaking dong. Because Twitter algorithm likes to look at faces. So it recognizes faces, but it doesn't, like, I'm like, oh, I'll go see the whole thing. And it's like, oh, either titties or dongs. Sorry.
My god. Are we supposed to be practicing social distancing?
You're so right.
Oh my god.
I tried doing that in the last design. I don't know about doing the Devil's Tango.
But it was far from distant.
I mean, social distancing is fine, but if you're stuck in the house, like most people live with people, and you're not supposed to social distance from them. I mean, like me and Ursula are not 6 feet apart right now. I'm sorry to break your illusions.
We
Dawn.
broke the social distancing to hang out on this stream.
Yeah.
We're 3 feet apart. It's very uncomfortable. Ew, he's trying to hold my hand. Danger, you better have washed.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, good.
I touched Lear. It's got residue.
Cat residue.
Okay, orb in the last design.
Anyways, so orb, yeah. So you could do like a little pouch. You could do like maybe like a mesh knit thing. Trying to think of like other ways you'd carry like a crystal ball type thing.
In your hands.
Yeah, you could hold it in your hand. But if you're storing it away, probably best to put it in a bag.
Yeah.
Because what if you drop it? What will happen to all your arcane focus?
Imagine if Saruman was like sexy.
Okay. Bones' Twitter timeline. Stop.
Oh my god. I'm glad someone else had their present just vanish into the ether like this. Like they shoot it.
Oh no.
This is what happened to me yesterday. Like in Animal Crossing, they shoot it, and then it lands, and then it just vanishes.
Disappears into the earth.
It just got miniaturized. The ants take it. Okay, sorry, we're being really red critiquing people.
So I hope that helps. Oh, right, he also has a whip. That you could just loop on your belt.
Yeah, that's sexy.
You could loop it on your belt. You could also like keep it wrapped around your arm or your waist or something. Yeah.
You can't hold it all of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Deleted present.
Yeetus.
Anyways, let us know if you have any other questions. I think we better scoot along.
I'm just so scared to like press anything.
Well, just don't go on Twitter.
What is left in my life? I was just sitting there watching the counts of cases go up, and Ursula's like, find something else to do, and I'm like, there's nothing else.
Okay, so here I've been doing a lot of character studies, like some critiques on how to better enhance or exaggerate some of the expressions while keeping my style in check. Let's see. So I think you've got a lot of good variance in expression. Like I can generally tell kind of what they're expressing. And I like in certain expressions here where you've pushed it a little bit to kind of show the expression off real good. For example, I like the position of, I think this is your vampire girl. But I like the way you've positioned her face to kind of show off this kind of like cheeky smile. I think like the position of the eyes and the position of like where the face is facing really helps. Really helps show kind of the expression. And I like how throughout all these you've used different like head tilts and different ways they're facing, because the way someone is
Snack time.
Snack time. The way someone is facing can tell a lot about their expression as well, which is an important part.
I think you don't need to do the blush on everybody.
Yes, there's a lot of blushing.
There's a lot of blush.
And I think in some of them it like clutters up the face a little bit.
Totally.
Like this one where he's got freckles as well.
Mm-hmm.
It makes it really, really busy. Same with this one.
I find the second one, the second last up top, it clutters it.
This one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the nose blush and the cheek blush kind of clutters the expression. Because I find it like can be like a cute touch. Like I like it on the vampire girl at the bottom. Whereas, yeah, and the very last one, it works.
Mm-hmm.
But
Like, I like it here where it's a bit more subtle on this character.
Yeah.
But I think there's some of them where it could be toned down a bit.
I love blushing, but okay. Yeah.
I know, it's hard.
Sometimes we have to pull back on the things that we love. I'm trying to think of things that I do. Probably just like long scenes of dialogue.
Kitchen table scene.
Also make kitchen table scenes. Sexy boys with L as the first letter of their name. I just remade Lul. I'm really mad at myself. He's got a completely different personality.
I find it might just be
She's thinking. I'm just here to vamp. I'm a vampire. Bites. Draws blush on shoulders. This is a manageable addiction. I like to think that blushing can also be a style thing. I think it can be a style thing too, but
totally.
I think in this case it is a little distracting.
Yeah, I think there's a couple. So first off, I think you've captured a lot of these expressions really well. Like, I can tell kind of what every character is feeling.
Totally.
And I feel like they all express differently. Like, one that I really like is this character down here, where they've got this kind of like serene look, but they also look like happy. Versus, say, like, different characters are smiling in different ways, which is really nice to see and shows a lot of characterization.
I love blushing. We don't hate. We're not anti-blush.
Yeah, we love some good blushing.
I love me some blushing. I love me some nose color thing.
Hell yeah.
But you can't eat fudge every day, guys.
Watch me. I think there's a couple where like I think things could be clarified a little bit, and I think part of it is
yes, you can.
the fudge every day 2K20. Okay, so I think some places the expressions feel, or parts of the faces feel a little like squished or crowded in on. I think part of it with some of them, it's like the blush and hair kind of like pulling into the face quite a bit, and I think it's distorted some of the like face. For example, this guy who's like looking all sleepy, kind of in here with his hair and his eye, it feels kind of like squished in a little bit too much, and I think it needs more room to breathe. Where I think it would be a little easier to read if there was like a little less going on around this eye. Same with this character here, where this eye back here feels a little crowded in on, and I think it clutters up the expression.
Don't stop kicking the cable. You can hear the little feedback.
But overall, I like the different like mouth expressions. I like the different way that the face is posed, and the different ways your characters express. I think it's got a lot of good variety. Ooh, I think I don't think you should worry too much about like losing your style. I feel like you've got this really distinct like line work to it that has like a lot of energy to it, and I think as long as you kind of keep that with your stuff, it'll feel like your style, I think. But yeah, I think there's just some places where you need to kind of pull away some of the little details so that the expression can shine through.
Oh, woo.
So yeah.
All right, next thing.
So let me know if you have any questions about that.
We can probably close Kuro's. because there's no questions on that.
Oh, yeah. So
Okay, good.
So what else do we have? We have Hex.
We have Hex. I think Hex wanted to be last.
Oh, okay. So we have Battery, Hex, and Foxwell.
All right. Do Battery.
Battery?
Get Battery done with.
Battery.
I'm sorry, Battery. I'm pushing you out. Be kind of gentle because we appreciate that you post because we know that you are nervous.
Yeah. I'm always proud of all y'all for putting your stuff out there. It's very brave.
Exactly. I'm not that brave.
No, I'm back.
Literally why I do that thing.
What?
Just don't self-publish. Too nervous. Oh my god.
Stop touching the dang cord.
You're welcome.
Just your feedback.
It's really warm. And my feet are cold.
Okay. So, Battery.
Yes.
See what the comments were. Just looking for a critique over colors and lighting. This is my friend and I's Animal Crossing selves, and we were watching the oarfish, because we're both oarfish hoarders. Oh my god. We're never going to put an oarfish in our museum, because we always sell them as soon as we get them. Anyways. So color-wise, I think this is gorgeous.
You got a gorgeous.
I love the palette that you've chosen. There's a really nice balance between these warm hues and the cool hues. And I really like the way you've used the warmth to highlight the focal areas. So for example, there's like some light around the little oarfish guy down here, and then it's mirrored and echoed within the characters and on the they're in kind of like a vignette, it looks like, which is really nice and brings a lot of focus to the characters. But I like how it's echoed throughout to kind of highlight where to look, and I think that's really nice. I also like the little feet. Listen, these feet are cute. It's my little thinky noise.
I know.
I didn't have a lot of warmth at first, but last night I went in and edited it with warmth and clouds. Yeah, I also like the clouds. You've done some nice atmospheric stuff in here, as well as on the water to show different textures and stuff. 10 out of 10. Very good. I never wear shoes. Ooh. But yeah, color-wise, I think you've done a really good job. I think there's a good balance between highlights and shadows and stuff. I think you could push the shadows to be a little bit richer. You've got some nice, like...
Oh, woo.
Oh, woo. Serena's like, let me outside. What is it? Saturation within the warmth. Whereas I find the cool colors get a little bit grayed out and muddied. I think if you went in with some really saturated, dark, cool colors, it can really make things pop even more. So I'd recommend kind of like doing that throughout the dark shadows on the rocks and stuff.
The cool class colors are the ones that wear the sunglasses. But I think you've got a good balance of values. Like I said, I love the little highlights on the characters because that's where you're supposed to be focused. And yeah, good balance of colors. Did you guys hear the digging downstairs?
Serena's trying to dig out of her kennel. I think there's some minor anatomy things that can be fixed up. I think the shoulders here are a little wonky. Same here. The hands are a little bit big. Little minor things. I really like how you've done the legs. They're good. They're very
I'm
proportional.
gonna order my prescriptions.
Okay, goodbye. Yeah, but I like how you've done the legs. I like the foreshortening on the laps, and the posing and stuff. I think you've done a really good job integrating the characters into the setting. It really feels like they're there and they're interacting with the scenery around them. And I think a lot of that is in like the foreshortening you've done. And I was nervous about the legs because I didn't have refs. Oh, you did really good. It looks like something you referenced, so heck. But yeah, minor little things like little shoulders and hands and stuff like that. It's easily fixed in future drawings. Yeah, but overall, very good work. Did you have any other questions about that? About that on that? I think also compositionally, you could add some more space up at the top and show more of the sky. And I think that could really balance out the composition because there's a lot of room down at the bottom to show the oarfish. But I think if you add like a little sliver of more space at the top, it'll help kind of balance out the composition. Ooh woo. Yeah. Yeah. Good work. Ooh woo. I also like how you've got like a good variance of like hues on stuff. Like even if just looking at say like this shirt, there's like warms and cools and textures and stuff. I like it. It's well done. I didn't really have much to turn in. Yeah, it makes sense. I have my canvas set to a good size for Insta. Oh, I see. Yes. Yeah, because Insta likes its little squares, right? Yeah. Cool. So I will move on. Okay, so Hex, I saw that you're here. It's your back. Oh. How do we send in for critique and do you do redraws? I don't know what you mean by redraw. But if you would like to have your stuff submitted for critique, you have to join our Patreon, which you can find a link for in the description. And anything you submit, or if you join now, then anything you submit will go up in the next critique next month. It will. I hope that answers your question. Okay, Hex, you're here. You're ready? You ready for this? Okay, so the first two I'm going to throw in are 2 pages of dance studies I did for one of my newest OCs. Mikhail or Mika, they, them. Okay.
Sorry. Oh my god, there was like an actual 2-minute intro before I could get to the answering machine.
So what? A 2-minute intro?
Yes, there was a 2-minute intro on what to do if you have COVID symptoms.
Oh dear.
Yeah. And then after that, it was like, okay, do you want to enter your prescription number and stuff? I'm like, thank God.
You're like bawling, like, okay.
I'm not bawling. I'm like, oh my God. Okay, are we done? Like, they repeated the phone number for like Health Canada or whatever like 3 times.
Oh my goodness.
I understand it's not for me and I should use an internet prescription, but I forgot my password a few times, and in order to get my password reset, I have to call someone.
Oh dear.
So yeah, I'm just using the phone system. Anyways, there you go. All right, you can do your thing.
Okay. Okay. So I really like these studies you've done. You've got a really good sense of movement going on, which is really nice. Like there's a lot of, I think for a lot of these you've captured like the tension of a pose, which can go a long way to like showing movement. what am I saying here? um, yeah, I think it's just like the tension of the lines created. So like curved lines versus curved lines can create like a sense of movement throughout. And I also like how you've kept everything feeling very solid as well. Like even though these are like figure studies, they've also got like good structure underneath, even while using like minimal lines and stuff. And I know like a lot of your work you're very good at doing that. And it's cool to see it within these like studies which are full of movement. I like the hands here, for example, where like again, you're just showing a lot of movement. I think honestly you could get rid of these like motion lines going on around it because you don't really need it. The pose is showing a lot of movement, the way like the hair is flipping and the hands are moving and the way the legs are going and stuff. Like you don't need the motion lines to show that the movement is happening. I think there's a couple spots where anatomy's off, but I figure if you're doing a study, you're mostly just focusing on like getting the movement down and the shapes down more than like focusing on getting the figure totally correct anatomy and proportion wise, which is totally cool.
I was like, what's that smell? It's my deodorant. Just not used to wearing it.
Oh my god. You're not used to not smelling your natural musk.
I'm just wearing it because I haven't washed my shirts in a while.
Oh.
I should do that today. I'm stinky. That's what I'm trying to tell you guys. Keep at it.
But yeah, overall, very good. Very good at showing motion. I also like, say, like here, where you've got like some good foreshortening going on, with like the hips going back and like the torso going forward. 10 out of 10.
I don't think you need to rely on motion lines as much as you are. Because I think a lot of the emotion is really implied in the pose.
Totally. And especially with like the context of the other drawings around it. Because it definitely feels like sequential.
Totally. Reminds me of those old iPod commercials.
Oh my god, yes. Or is this the silhouette?
Yeah.
Yeah. I really like this one. It's got so much like motion to it. I'm just gonna say that over and over. Motion. But it's got like, I just love the way everything like pulls upward. That's really nice. I like the little details on like the arms and the torso showing like the body squishing, I guess. It's got really good form to it. 10 out of 10. Yeah, very good posing. I think this is a very good study for learning different posing and character movement and keeping all your body parts in the right spot, even when doing complicated poses. I also noticed, like, as you go through these, they get really stronger as they go. Like,
more powerful.
Like, these started feeling very kind of like a lot more sketchy, but on your second page they feel a lot more firmed up, and lots of more like implied form and stuff. I also like the expressions you've done. They're very cute. Oh, and the little hoodie going up, that's a good touch, showing how the movement is interacting with like hair and the clothes and the body.
I'm working on unsubscribing to YouTubers that are not for me of today. I mean, that's fair. Yeah. I do that all the time.
Yeah, you're like, oh, I haven't watched this in forever.
You're like,
Bye.
it's time for the purge. Then you're like, oh my god, this person hasn't posted in years.
Yeah, it's weird when you go through your subs and you're like, whoa, I used to follow this person. Where are they?
Then you find out they died.
Oh god.
Oh, you've never had that?
No.
Oh.
Not that I know of.
Oops. think I've read that once.
I need to purge old subs. But yeah, anyways, these are really great. Very good at showing movement, and yeah, I really like how you structured the forms. Yeah, let me know if you have any questions about that. I can move on to the next one. Okay, there's quite a few sketches here. The last one is a big doodle page with Mika and Ren, my friend's OC. I know there's a lot there. Don't need anything in depth, just couldn't decide on anything to cut. That's fair. It's 3 universes. M for modern, which the dance studies would fall in. P for pirate. Oh my god, you guys, and you're pirates. The original verse. Which ignore, because I've never seen a kid before. And R for royal. Okay. Okay. So first off, looking at all these, I like how you're doing more stuff with characters like interacting together and interacting with like different set pieces. So like you can tell that they're leaned up against this, looks like a wheel or a table or something. And like a couch and standing on a ledge and stuff. I really like how you're practicing showing them interacting with different set pieces and stuff. I also like this one where he's like on the ground, like crying over this. Is it a grave or something? I know there's like a ghost and stuff. But like you can tell he's like, or you can tell they're like huddled up on the ground and stuff. You can see the solid ground there. It feels very weighted, a lot of this, which is really good. It doesn't feel like floaty or anything. And you've got a lot of movement going on in these as well, which is great. You can especially feel it in this one where he's like landing on the ledge, where like you can feel the tension of like landing on the ledge, but they might like fall back if it weren't for the rope. I also like how you can see the weight from them on the couch and how it's like pushing in the cushions and stuff. I think you're doing a really good job of the characters, like they feel like they're in the same setting and room. Like it doesn't feel disconnected at all, which is really great. I think there's like a couple little anatomy things, but again, these are just sketches, and I figure you're not focusing on that. You're more focusing on like the emotion and character interaction and stuff. I also like the expression work. It's also good to see a whole host of different expressions going on. They're very cute. I like their little expression here. It's very adorable. I also like the way you've drawn the kid. Like I could tell that was a child. Very good. I also like the design of this little, I'm guessing it's a grave or like a shrine or something, but I like the design of it. It's very striking.
Boiling alive in your house.
Oh god. Wanya.
Yeah. It's probably good.
Yeah.
Move on to the last
Ren's
art
grave.
thing.
Oh lord. Okay, let me know if you have any questions, Hex. Very good work. I love the dance moves.
Alright, last one.
Okay.
Let's do this. Let's get through this.
Let's do this.
Let your voice rest.
Yeah. So I wasn't able to find a good way to display this one. No questions for now? Okay. Cool. But let's look at this. This is Foxwell. Okay. The first two images are supposed to be a flow image where you follow the characters through the background. I want to get your opinion on that and what you think about the background of all of them. They're not currently 100% done, but I still have some shading in some of them, and obviously to add the dialogue to it. I took pictures of my computer on my phone because they're in a long form canvas. Okay. So I wasn't able to find a good way to display like these all stacked on top of each other, but I'm looking at it in the Discord and I can see how it flows together. Okay.
Feel free to export it and then just shrink it down.
Yeah.
Next time, because we can zoom and all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm. So first off, I really like the kind of flow through composition you've got going here. It's a really cool way to show like the passage of time and them walking through this area and seeing different set pieces of it. It's one of the joys of comics, the way you can show like the passage of time through like a single image instead of having to have separate panels for everything. And I think you've really executed it well. Because you've got this like a goblin-y girl, and the one of the main characters you showed us from a previous stream. I can't remember the name of. I apologize. But I like the character movement. I like showing the passage of time. I like how it flows together and you have different images like overlapping. That's very cool. Pardon me. Yeah, I like the variety of. She's a troll. Okay, showing Valerie through the tunnels since she's blindfolded. Okay. Yeah, I like in the background the way you've shown all these like varying cool set pieces. Like it's not they're not just walking by like rocks and stuff. They're walking by like cool giant mushrooms and glowing crystals and stuff. And it's a very good way to get really in depth with the setting. And it's got this very like dreamy like labyrinthy feeling to it, where it feels very like winding and twisty, and if you don't know where you're going you're gonna get lost type thing. Sorry, I'm just thinking out. Opinion on the backgrounds. Yeah, I really like how everything connects. I like the overlap you've got going on. I think my one thought about this background, I like what you've done at the top, where it feels kind of like it's more abstracted around everything, and you get to focus on like where the characters are, and as you move down, you get to look at more kind of background details. I think that's a really good way to like flow into it. I find these mushrooms, I really like the way the crystals and these mushrooms down here are implemented. I think there's some places where you could show more of a glow on the rock and stuff. Like you've got some light effects on the characters, but I think the maybe the stones they're stepping on maybe need to show like a little bit of that reflected light, just to make it feel a little bit more connected. I also find the glow on the red mushrooms feels like a little bit much, where I think some of them need to be defined a little bit more, like maybe some more shading on them, because even something that's like glowing and like phosphorus, still like you want to be able to see the form of them. So maybe just adding in like a little bit more shadow around the edges so you can tell apart the different mushrooms a little easier, as well as like if they are so glowing so bright, maybe having a bit more of an effect on the characters' colors. Like instead of just going with like their blues and their greens, you could maybe oh jeez, oh. Sorry, pulled my cord out.
Classic.
But maybe try changing the color entirely if the glow is going to be so intense. So for example, you can put them all in reds of different values. That's an idea, you don't have to go with that by any means, but just to show more of that intense glow if they are so bright, and changing the colors around them and stuff. But yeah, I think adding a bit more kind of like lighting effect on the background, because you've got it going on the characters, but I think it needs to interact with the backgrounds a little bit more, because I like how it's kind of subtle up at the top where you're just seeing like little bits of glows on them, and then maybe as they get more into these more fantastical feeling parts, the lighting could get more fantastical along with it, if that's something you want to go for, obviously. But yeah, I really love these mushrooms here. I like the little details on them. It's very nice. And I also like these little stepping stones here. Like that's a really cool setting piece. Like it feels very, it's just cool. It's got those good fantasy vibes. I really like them here. I find the stairs at the top feel a little wonky. And I think something that might help you is like adding a bit more contrast on the shadows of the stairs. So like whenever you've got a piece of the stair that's like going downward, not like the tops of the steps themselves, but these little like, what do you even call those? Like the fronts of the stairs, like adding more shadow there would really help define them, I think. Make them feel more solid, because you've done that here with these little stepping stones where the fronts of them are really dark, and I really like that. That's very good contrast and really defines them a lot. Same thing here with this like cave mouth part. You might want to define maybe like the bridge, add some more texture, maybe some more textures in the ground behind them and on the water, just to add a bit more detail, because you've got a lot of like nice little details in the mushrooms and stuff up here and on the crystals, which are great, but I'd like to see a little bit more to match down here, especially because like if you're focusing on the backgrounds and how fantastical they are, you want all your detail to kind of be in the backgrounds if they're going to be the focus. That was one of the things I was wondering about. I haven't shadowed those yet. That's why they look like that. Okay. Cool. But yeah, just adding more details, more shadows and textures, I think will really help kind of bring it all together. Because like in this last panel here, I really like all the little lines and details within the like the steps and the different ledges and the little folds on the pillow and stuff. I think that's all really lovely. And yeah, I think you've done a really good job kind of like establishing the setting and putting a lot of detail into your backgrounds. And it's really cool. I like the kind of world you've built here. Heck yeah, very good work. I also like the colors on this page. On the last one, I like the way the little light shines on everything. And you've got a good balance between like the warmth and the cool. as well. I like it a lot. Yeah. Let me know if you have any questions.
I have a question.
What's your question?
Why are you so dang cute?
Oh, I don't know. I can't help
All right. Thank you all for coming by. I hope you guys are having a lovely little lockdown life.
Yeah.
Hope you're staying safe and staying healthy and staying strong.
Oh, she's facing a fireplace right now. That's why it looks like that. I see. I like it. I really like the way the light's defined here.
I like the way... Why do you have Internet Explorer? Didn't that end?
Oh, I was like, I don't have Internet Explorer.
I'm just looking at your... Is that Internet Explorer?
Looks like it.
What is this? Do you go to Blockbuster too? Like...
Oh, savage.
It's Microsoft Edge. Oh, it looks like Internet Explorer. I'm like, what the hell?
That's Edge.
What's Edge?
It's the new Internet Explorer.
Oh.
Phones. Trying to call people old, meanwhile. Don't pay attention to the stuff on my computer. Oh no.
May use Clip Studio Paint, I see.
Hell yeah.
Got one unchecked message.
Phones. My goodness.
Edge.
Hex asked for something.
Is that because it's so slow? It gives you delayed satisfaction?
Like, even though it's just studies and sketches, I'd like some pointing out on anatomy and stuff, because I want to know. If you don't mind going back. Yeah, no problem.
Well, it's not knowing the new search engines. The edgiest explorer, yeah. I didn't know they made a new one. I thought they just gave up because they were so bad at it. I used Safari to open up Google AdSense because Google AdSense refuses to work on Chrome for me. Which is the most stupid shit. This is so mad.
For the dance stuff, I think the anatomy is very balanced here. Like everything feels very proportional. Especially in the later ones. There's some little parts where like the feet feel a little disconnected, like this one here, actually. Where it feels like there should be... No, what it feels like is the ankles don't feel very defined here. Like, here they feel, like, very attached to the legs, and you can follow, like, beneath the clothing, kind of where the ankle and foot are. Whereas here, I think there's some overlap between the, like, the shin and the ankle kind of gets lost, and the foot kind of loses its footing. So little things like that. Whereas, like, for the most part, you've placed the feet really well, and you can, the connection between, like, the leg and the foot works well, and feels attached and stuff, but, like, here and there's, like, one that doesn't feel quite connected. Like, this one here feels a little off, where I think it would be shown more top down, I guess, instead of from the side. Yeah, and then this foot here feels like really far back compared to where the leg position is. And part of it might help to like go in and define the shapes underneath the clothing and stuff. Just doing some underdrawing can really help with like connecting the joints, etc. But I think for the most part the anatomy is looking pretty good. Oh, there's a couple places here where the shoulders feel a little too small. or not quite attached. Like here, they feel too narrow. I think you could move them out a smidgen. And I think it's making the head look really big. Whereas like on this one, they feel a lot more balanced between like the size of the head and the width of the shoulders.
You're very outline focused on the legs.
Yeah, where I think you need to go in and define the shapes a little bit more. Like doing underdrawings and stuff to kind of see where like the knees are and the muscles, and then drawing the pants on top. If that makes sense. Because I find here where it looks like the pants are like a little more form-fitting, things attach a little bit better. Whereas here where they're more loose, I think something's got put in the wrong places. If that makes sense. Yeah, overall the anatomy feels very well proportioned and balanced. Especially in the second one here. So yeah, does that help, Hex?
Yeah, they say.
Oh, yeah. Cool, cool, cool.
40 YouTubers, but not us. Well, thank you for letting us make the list.
Thanks for not purging us. So yeah.
I'm more likely to reply to you if you're subscribed to us. There's a little notification on your comments in my section on my side. Have you seen that recently? They added that feature. You can see if someone's subscribed to you, and you can look at how long they've been subscribed.
Oh really? Or
Yeah.
I haven't looked at that yet. Oh.
Yeah, there's just there's a notification. It says June isn't subscribed, but June might be on private. Shame Charlie for being too ashamed to
Shame on
to show off how they follow us. All right, I'm ready to go. Are you? I'm hungry.
You're hungry.
I'm hungry.
Snack time.
I'm hungry. I want some tater tots for lunch. I don't know about you.
I'll go for some tater tots.
Yeah, let's have a tater tot time. I hope everyone had a lovely time. I always enjoy these.
Yeah.
Because my voice doesn't hurt at the end of it. When Ursula has to draw, this is when Ursula gets to feel like the voice hurt that I get.
Yes.
When she's like drawing and she's like, and I'm like, okay, I've talked for an hour. And you're like,
I'm like, no, keep going.
Keep going.
I'm
Tater
just
tots.
here.
Let's tater up these tots. Bones, you sound so dead.
June, you're back.
I'm emotionally dead. I'm pretty sad.
Oh,
I'm not gonna lie. I want to end this because I want to go be sad.
okay, let's go be sad.
Thank you.
Everyone, stay safe, stay healthy. We care about you.
Just for a peek.
And thanks for coming to the stream. Again, if you are someone who's been watching and you want your stuff critiqued, you gotta sign up for our Patreon. There should be a link down below. And if you sign up today, you can get your stuff in for next month.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, we'll see you guys later.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.